Afternoon everybody, Rich here, back for another video for the Diecast F1 review. Here today is the Red Bull Renault RB10 from the 2014 Formula 1 World Championship, and in the car is Daniel Ricciardo. Now the Red Bull team, after 4 years of utter domination of Formula 1, or at least in 2013 anyway, with 9 straight wins for Sebastian Vettel, 4 Drivers' World Championships, 4 Constructors' World Championships, and a loss of audience for Formula 1. 2014 was really a wake-up call for the team. The new turbo era really did not suit well for the Renault engines which they used. The RB10 started the 2014 testing season as pretty much a no-hope, but the car was ridiculously unreliable, only completing about 4 or 5 laps at a time before ultimately failing. And when it did get going, it was not near the top of the timesheets. Sebastian Vettel throwing a hissy fit during one of the testing sessions after the car had broken down. He ultimately walked out, and pretty much led to well, it didn't really lead to much. It sort of, it led to a bit of tension in the team, and Renault got a lot of stick for that. I don't want to say it was all Renault's fault. They were just caught on the up with the Mercedes doing things differently, and designing their engine a bit better. The Red Bull was, although a good looking car and a very drivable car, the engine just did not suit, and overheated and blew up at any given opportunity. Whether it was the Renault blowing or the engine blowing up, or it was just other things like the ERS and all the other things that could break on the engine, was or the power units they call them now. If anything could break, it probably did break, sort of like Honda in 2015. But the car was not fast in testing, not reliable, and Red Bull looked to be in a lot of turmoil going into the first round. But ultimately the car was fast on debut, with Ricciardo picking up second place in the first round, and then being disqualified due to a fuel flow measure irregularity, or basically Red Bull not doing what they were told, and being banned. Well, not banned, but kicked out. And Daniel having the upper hand on Sebastian Vettel all season, picking up 3 wins in Canada, Hungary and Belgium. Although, to be fair, it was more Mercedes fucking up rather than Red Bull utter dominance. And second place in the Constructor Championship, which really was sort of damage limitation, but really was unexpected going into the first round. The car was also not expected to do much, especially with the Mercedes-powered Williams and the Mercedes overall. Of course, Force India having the Mercedes engine as well, which was pretty fast in the opening rounds of the season. Red Bull seemed to be on the back foot. But reliability aside, the car, really the reliability was bulletproof throughout the season. There's only about 2 or 3 races where the car had issues, and most of them fell to Sebastian Vettel. The Australian Grand Prix retired on, I think, lap 2 or 3, and then having issues with the engine at the Austrian Grand Prix as well, with basically cruising to a standstill and then getting going again, but then having to retire anyway. But overall the car, like I said, it was damage limitation. It was one of the better looking cars of 2014 as well, with the way they developed their nose. Whereas a lot of teams went with a penis on the end of the nose. Red Bull went with a sort of a peg on the nose, but coloured it black to hide it, and it really did show how well it did, while it was hidden. I say how well it showed, but how well it didn't show, because like I said, the peg was hidden with the black paint, with the yellow just behind it, which masked it basically. But yeah, the car retired at the end of 2014 and replaced with the RB11, which didn't really do much. Well, it was still a fast car, but nowhere near the Mercedes, Ferrari or Williams. But that's for another day, that review. But onto the car itself, I got it in the box today because it's in a nice Minichamps branded box, Red Bull branded box. So you can see, got Daniel Ricciardo down here, and the face recognition is picking up rather nicely. And he's stood there like a bit of a, probably not one of his better photos, but there you go. It's got the Red Bull, Infinity Red Bull Racing RB10 down the bottom there. Got the picture of the car there. Got the car in the box, and I've only had this car about 10 days and it's covered in dust, so obviously something needs to be done in my bedroom. Bit of dusting, I think. Right, there we go, that's the front of the box. At the side of the box here, got Danny on the side there again, and the face recognition picking up. Got all the same gumph there. Also a big picture of the car on the back. and also all the Red Bull Racing stuff there. No real corporate business on the back of the box, and also got the same there. I think they've moved all the corporate stuff and gubbins to the bottom. Yep, there we go. On the bottom of the box, but written upside down, or at least I'm holding the box up the wrong way. But never mind. And so there's the car in the box. I shall do a quick jump cut while I remove it from the box, and I shall return in just a moment. Now here we are with the car outside the box, and I have to say it is an absolute stunner. Minichamps have done a really nice job with reproducing this model, and it really does look the part. There are a few issues with the model though. With as I roll it, you can see the rear wheels turn, but the front wheels don't. They're a bit stiff. I think the peg, if you look at these models, there's a peg which holds the front wheels, and I think they're on a bit too tight, so they don't turn all that well. They do turn a bit, but you've got to give them a bit of force. But if it's on display, that's not really going to matter too much. Just look around to the nose. We have the well, let's basically look over the whole car. Just have a look at the whole thing. It is an absolute stunner. Never a fan of Red Bull overall, but this car did just stand out. Now we just look at the nose here. Like I said, they did put a peg on the nose and painted it black. It really did. It shows here, but a bit of dirt on it. It won't come off. There we go. So they did put a peg on the nose and painted it black just to hide it, and it really did show. It's just a shame they didn't do the same for 2015, but I think the rules forbid this sort of thing. We've got a narrow front wing for 2014 as well, but not by a huge amount. And overall, an absolute, well, I keep saying, an absolute stunning car. As we turn it around here, you can see the infinity on the side there, the stripes up the side of the chassis. If I just tip it up here, you can sort of see how low the nose does go. I'll get a better view of that in a minute. But got the dashboard and the infinity along the side. A bit of a different shade of blue, I think, to the 2013 car. I'm not sure. I don't have the 13 car at the moment, but we'll get hold of one of them later on, as there are various versions of it going around. Look around the back here, got that massive exhaust pipe in the middle there, in the middle of the rear here. And although not as blingy as the Barago Ferrari model exhaust, but it's still pretty much an exhaust. We just turn around this way. You can really see how narrowly packaged the rear of the bodywork of this car is. It's absolutely stunningly. I really do like how they managed to do the rear bodywork on this car. I'll point it out in a minute. I'll do a quick look over the car, but it is a stunner. If I just zoom out a little bit, get the car all in. The camera's not picking up too much detailing on the yellow. The yellow is called sort of a mustard yellow. The camera's not picking it up too well, but get to that later on. I'll just do a quick look up here and zoom into the cockpit there. You can see all the dials and buttons and things on the dashboard there. And also got the Australian Grand Prix map, Australian or Albert Park circuit map on the cockpit there. So this was definitely the Australian Grand Prix edition of the car, or version they've chosen to make. And absolutely amazingly portrayed. If I turn it around this way and just have a quick look at the rear bodywork, you can see how nicely sculpted it is. Sort of a size 0, sort of like McLaren have done in 2015, but on a bit more effectively. The car did change a lot through 2014, so I'm not sure how long this rear bodywork configuration stayed on for, but overall it is really nicely done. It's got the rear wing there. That's the shape of the nose. We just zoom down this way, and you can see the nose really does dip down. So we'll get a T-cam view. Not too far there. So you can sort of see the lumps and bumps along the chassis there. Got all the vents along the side there as well. I'll just turn around again. And so we've got a bit more detailing down, a little sculpting down there with the rear tray of the bodywork. And an absolute stunner. If we just turn the car around again and have a look at the bottom, pardon me, and we just look up here, we've got the usual gump there, but a few marks around the screw holes, which is a bit of a shame, but never mind. We've got the Minichamps Full Model Art logo there, Red Bull RB10 2014 there, and you got the 118 and Made in China there. So that's all fine there. So we've got the underside of the chassis here as well. Oops, something just fell on the floor there. We just have a look at the underside of the front wing and the underside of the chassis. Once again, a 0 keel car. There's no central mount for the suspension. And just move the rear a bit along a bit more to the diffuser. There's quite a small diffuser on this car, well, it's not particularly huge, unlike some cars of the era. Just try and tip the car over without dropping it. Like I say, not a huge diffuser, but overall not too bad. But you can really see the sculpting of the rear bodywork there. Sort of, well, it's really weird shape, but nicely done as well. Of course, you've got the zero. You haven't got the bottom pillar of the rear wing. The rear suspension is being used as the bottom pillar or bottom beam of the rear wing. The rear wing, I think, is just it is attached to the floor, so it does add a bit more strength to the rear wing. The rear wing is not going to snap off like it has on some models in the past. Right. So overall, a nice model, strength-wise or detailing-wise, for the strength of the front. The front wing is flexy, and a bit too much pressure, it probably will snap off. The suspension is pretty rock solid. The front wheels are a bit are sort of on a spring as well, so if you turn them, they do spring back. So, well, if you turn them right, they do spring back. If you turn them left, they don't. But not a big issue there. The wing mirrors are another issue there. Well, not an issue, but they are a bit flimsy, so don't put too much pressure on them. But the rear wing is held on like anything really. It's not going to snap off. You've got some pretty good strength in there. It's not going to snap off. So overall, this is an absolute stunner of a model, and I would recommend getting this one, especially of those just coming into Formula One, or coming into being a fan of Formula One. This is one for the collection. Pretty much the same as the 2013 car as well. In terms of livery, anyway, the chassis is completely different, but an absolutely different car. Of course, the 2015, the car changed quite a lot livery-wise as well. But we'll get to that another day. Price-wise for this car, this is the bog standard version of the car. It's also just the Riciardo version. It's not an expensive model. There are plenty on eBay, but they do go for, well, they're buy it now at ridiculous prices, so ignore them. If you want to pick this car up relatively cheap, then go to ckmodelcars.de. I think it's CK Model Cars. That's an online store for these models, and this car's on there at a really knockdown price. The Vettel version is still full price, but this car, with Ricciardo in the car, it is really knocked down, and you probably pick it up for around £45–50, which is a real bargain compared to, say, £150 by today's standards of, when they release a car, it comes out at ridiculous prices as well. So if you want this car, it'd be pretty cheap to get on ckmodels.de, or is it .com, I'm not sure. But have a look anyway. Just type in CK Model Cars into Google and you'll find it. And yeah, this car is relatively cheap. So yeah, not much else I can say about the model apart from buy it. It looks stunning, it is stunning, and it really does look good on display. The chassis, I haven't pointed out too much. I just was going to do a quick look at the how much the nose, the dips. You can see, oh shit, didn't want to drop it there. But you can really see how much the chassis does dip at the nose now. The new rules came into effect and changed the look of Formula One cars. Although on some cars it looked better, on some cars it looked bloody awful. This car is one of the better ones, or probably the best, and it really shows. Let's have a look at the car nose on. And you can see how the chassis is dipped as well, so just lift the camera up a bit. You can see the slope of the chassis there, and yeah, not too bad, is it? But ultimately a very nice car. The sun's come out a bit more as well. It's a bit strange really. It's coming up to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the sun's still out. Unusual. But yeah, that's all I've got to say on the model. I would recommend it. Definitely buy it, definitely get it, put it on display and cherish it, because it is an absolute stunner. If you're a Red Bull fan or not, it does look good on display. But yeah, anyway, this is Rich, signing off, logging off and disappearing, and I shall return with another review, so bye for now.